So during this time of year, whether we're celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is that we're celebrating, we're supposed to rejoice and truly be happy, right? In fact, we're supposed to be of good cheer. Sometimes, however, we don't always feel that good cheer. We have too many things to do, rushing around and being harried, although I must say, I think it's a little easier, I have to say this, with Amazon and ordering online. It's the UPS guys are running around and harried. But anyway, this is the time of year where we're supposed to be up and of good cheer. For some, this time of year brings past hurts, sorrows, and regrets, or particularly if we've lost a loved one recently or even in the past. It can bring up those kinds of memories, and we can spend, I know some people that spend the month in sadness and depression. So it is my intention, desire, that we come together here each week to take a deeper look at what there is to cheer about as we reflect on the spiritual dimensions of this holiday season. So every week I want us to leave here as uplifted as we can be, and as the reading said, to be the light. I am the light. I mean, I am all of those great things. Why not? I am. And today we're going to take an interesting look at the idea of the three cheers for the holidays, because we're in the holiday season. In religious science, New Thought, which is what this is, the spirituality, we believe that God is triune or threefold in nature. That is our teaching. In fact, we have core concepts. We have 10 core concepts taught in foundation class, and the second one, that's the second one, is that God is a threefold nature. And just to give you a real brief, as brief as I can, our symbol, our logo here, okay? I'm going to talk loud. It's divided. You might not see, because I have all these joyful people in the middle, because I had this design, that was my vision. But there's three parts. Here's the circle, which is all of the divine. It's all of God. There's nothing that exists outside of God. And then we have the part up here, which is the I am part. It is the part that is causation, the intention that goes, we can use this like a seed into the soil. This is the law we talk about. We talk about our thoughts go into the law, that's the middle, and become the effect. That's the creative process, and it's the most important aspect of our teachings if you can deepen into that. Seed, soil, plant. If you can deepen into that, you'll understand how you create, because we're all creative beings by nature. So this symbol of all three is for us to get in our mind. Of course, it's all God, it's all the divine, it's all whatever you want to call this infinite intelligence, are inseparable and interdependent parts of the whole. And when we understand this triune nature of God and of ourselves, we certainly can show up in the world differently, because we're consciously creating. We don't know that until we know that. We really don't. I didn't know that till I knew that. And then it becomes, what are my thoughts like? You know, what is going on here? Because we are always creating. And how can we work with the natural goodness of life itself? Well, we might say that this is the triune holiday season. That's how I'm doing this, with Thanksgiving, which moves us then into Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, and ends with New Year's Day. All three are inseparable parts of what we call the holiday season. And this whole month we're going to be talking about this and really deepening into the spiritual aspect of the holiday season, which is what this is. Each holiday can, when you look at it from a deeper spiritual perspective, give way to walk more in harmony with the natural grace of life itself, the brilliance of life, enabling us to change the direction and the course of our lives for the good, always for the good. We can consciously change situations. We are so powerful, we don't even know it. I want to go into that a little bit today. But we are incredible, powerful, creative beings, and this is going to give us a lot to be in good cheer about. So, I might have just made some pretty bold statements, and we're going to spend some time this morning looking at what that might mean. And even though I know Thanksgiving is over, we are going to focus, the first holiday, we're going to focus on that giving thanks again. But this time maybe from a little different perspective. So let's talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. Did you know, this is so interesting, contrary to the belief, the Pilgrims did not start the national Thanksgiving holiday. They didn't. In fact, it was started in 1883 by President Abraham Lincoln, as he proclaimed the last Sunday of the month of November as a national day of thanks. And I think that's really pretty cool, because most of us think the Pilgrims started it, but they didn't. And there is a very specific reason why he did this. But behind this purpose for proclaiming this day of thanks. And that was something very intentional that Lincoln wanted to accomplish. He wanted to heal our country and families divided by the wounds and destruction of the Civil War. He wanted the citizens of this country to love and to reunite as a single family. And he thought, this is what he thought, by proclaiming a national holiday for giving thanks, this purpose would be accomplished. He wanted to transform lives and heal relationships, and thus heal the country. That was his intention. And that's why Thanksgiving holiday was born. So I think that was pretty, do you know that? It's pretty cool. I didn't really know it. God bless the internet. I would say though, we could really use some of that healing energy right now in this country. So there's always been, this isn't new. That's what we think, oh, it's new, our country's divided, and this and that, and anti-this, and it's always been that way. But now we have social media to put it right in our face. But Thanksgiving was created to heal wounds, to heal conflicts, and to bring us together. So that's the power of gratitude. The power of gratitude is one of the most healing balms, or the healing ways of living life that we can do. So the first holiday of our triune nature of this holiday season, which sets the tone and prepares the way for others, is this holiday based on the healing of old wounds and feelings of separation. Through Thanksgiving, forgiveness, and love. Thanksgiving, forgiveness, and love. Can't get past that forgiveness. It's always going to be there. Ernest Holmes talks about healing wounds through these very three topics in his Science of Mind textbook, which I want to briefly read you here. The first one is the healing power of gratitude. He writes, if we wish to come to the Spirit for the healing of our wounds, let us come with thanksgiving, for a thankful heart is in harmony with life. And then he talked about the healing power of forgiveness. How often, he wrote, we condemn when we should forgive. How often censor when we might praise. what untold grief of heart might be relieved by words of cheer and forgiveness, remembering that Spirit holds no evil against us, and that God is love. Every religion says that. God is love. We should emulate, he writes, this divine lesson and forgive all, so that our hearts may be free from the burden of our own condemnation. Forgiveness to me, and I teach a really incredible class for the last, my God, it's been like 20 years now. Radical forgiveness, we got to do that one again, because forgiveness is for true freedom, we really need to let go of all that resentment, all the grudges, all of that stuff. It's not always easy, but it's necessary for our own happiness. And then he talked about the healing power of love. He wrote, a thought of love is always healing. If we have the full realization that love fulfills all, the law of life, and that there are no restrictions, no burdens, no inhibitions to love, which is the very life within, then healing will follow. Then healing. Because when you're in that attitude of gratitude, when you're in that flow of love, you know how you feel. You feel so uplifted, and that's the healing power. And that's where we get to choose the seed we want to plant in our lives, to go into the law and produce our effects, the next experience. So I asked this morning to take a deeper look at the first of our triune holidays, the holidays, by seeing what in your heart needs reconciliation. What old wound are you carrying around that must be healed? Are you carrying in order for you to move more cheerfully into the holiday season and into 2022, what is it that you might release that could be causing that heaviness, that separation within us from our good? Our good is within us also. In his book, Lee, The Last Years, author Charles Flood reports that after the Civil War, Confederate General Robert E. Lee visited a Kentucky lady who took him to the remains of this grand old tree in front of her house, and she bitterly cried that its limbs and the trunk had been destroyed by the Yankee artillery fire. Darn Yankees. Anyway, he didn't write that. She looked at Lee for a word of condemning the North, or at least sympathizing with her loss. After a brief silence, Lee said, "Cut it down, my dear madam. Cut it down and let it go." He knew as long as she continued to recount her loss, she would never get over them. She had to release the North from the debt, her debt, in order to move on to healthy living. How many things do we need to cut down or cut out in our lives that they could be small, they could be big, there's no big and small in the universal mind, but if it's blocking the flow of good within you, that good that is within you, as the readings implied, actually spoke right out at, you can't get in touch with it while the resentment and that heaviness is there. Yes, stand up for what you believe in. Yes, do that. But do it from a place within yourself that can be peaceful. That can be peaceful. Because it's about your healing. Your healing. When you heal yourself, you heal many. Heal something you've been holding against yourself. How about that? Many of us blame ourselves for I coulda, woulda, shoulda done it this way. Oh, if only I would have known better. Time to let it go today. Time to let it go. Heal something that you've been holding against someone else. And here's a helpful hint. If you feel stuck change the question, this is one way, from why did you do this to me to why did you do this? You still probably won't get an answer with that why question, but it takes the victim out of to me, why did you do this? And behind that question is usually the same version of the same answer, and it's fear. It's always fear. It's going to be either love or fear. So when you do this, though, you will be honoring the true intent behind the Thanksgiving holiday. And you will set yourself up, this is the good part, to be able to move into the next holiday, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, with greater cheer. And that's our mission, to move through all the holidays with as much cheer as we can. Some years are better than others, I realize that, but we always at choice. And one thing to do these three holidays, what one thing do these three holidays have in common? The three holidays I just shared, Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa. It's about sharing gifts. Sharing gifts. So this morning, I'm not talking about the surface idea of giving material gifts, but going a layer deeper and looking at being empowered to give the gift of ourselves. We are the greatest gift we could ever give. We are great gifts. That is a truth, and I really believe that. First of all, do you honor the gift that you are? And if you're sitting there going, what gift? I'm no gift. I'm a burden. I'm this, I'm that. Let it go. Let it go. However large, small, dramatic, or simple, if we ignore or suppress our offerings that we have within us, something deep and vital within us will wither or die when we are not living the gift that we are. A Sufi story here that goes with this nicely. A poet went to see his doctor because he was quite ill, emotionally and physically. The poet said, "Doctor, I have all kinds of symptoms. I'm unhappy and uncomfortable. My hair, my arms, my legs, it's as if I were tortured." The doctor answered, "Is it not true that you have not yet given out your latest poetic composition?" "That is true," said the poet. "Very well," said the doctor. "Be good enough to recite it to me now." He did, and of the doctor's orders, he repeated it again and again and again. Then the doctor said, "Stand up, you are now cured. What you had inside had affected your outside. Now that it is released, you will be well again." Sufi's it's a very beautiful religion, actually. It's a really beautiful, and there's a lot of wisdom. And if you know Rumi, you know there's a lot of wisdom. So he did so at the doctor's orders, and he was well again. This is your life. And so this is what you have to offer. No one else can offer what you have to offer. No one. No one can sound exactly like Norman. They can try, but they won't sound exactly like Norman. Because Norman Taylor is Norman Taylor. There's only one. There's only one of each and every one of us. You cannot offer more than you are. If you try to pretend to be more than you are or give more than you have, then you will be lying. On the other hand, if you give less than what you are, you dishonor the gift of your own precious life, and you will end your life in regret, and none of us want to do that. That's why we live each day in the now, one moment at a time. Every day is a new beginning. It's old stuff, but it's true. It is so true. So many of us aren't sure what our gifts are. Well, one way to name your gift is to pay close attention to what you love. Some of us stop our natural impulse to be generous enough because we are afraid of feeling that we will not be large enough, not impressive enough. But the most beautiful gifts are small, can be, small and loving things. A smile, kindness. Dalai Lama said, kindness is my religion. Kindness is one of the greatest gifts you can give. Someone once said, love doesn't mean doing extraordinary or heroic things. It means knowing how to do ordinary things with tenderness. Just everyday living, and living with the joy in your heart that you can give. Being the light in the world. Being that light. Perhaps you're simply waiting for the perfect moment. And I say, what are you waiting for? This is the only perfect moment there will ever be, folks. We always think there's another perfect moment when we will do this or do that. Do it now with what you have from where you are. It's alive. If it's alive inside of you, it's alive in this very moment. You see children, they don't wait and say, well, yeah, I'll play with that tomorrow. No, they just jump right in and do what they love. I'm going to color today. And they don't say, I'm going to wait for the perfect moment to color. They color. That's the same for us. Let us not forget that. Ernest Holmes tells us, to each is given what he needs, and the gifts of heaven come alike to all. How we shall use these gifts is all that matters. So, my friends, the second holiday asks us, what wonderful gifts of yourself will you share with the world? What wonderful gifts? I asked you this morning, and then I asked you, what are you waiting for? You have the gift, what are you waiting for? And now's the time, and how you share them is all that matters. And that brings us to, in our triune nature of the holidays, New Year's Day. Not New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Having released and reconciled an old wound, that's the first one. Having accomplished and chosen your gifts to share, second one. We now move into the last holiday in our triune holiday season, and turn our thoughts to the gift of 365 days filled with unlimited potential. That's what we're going to have for 2022. We start the new year, we have pristine, fresh, 365 days in order to create. Each one of those days we can create with infinite potential, because that's what we had by our gifts from God. We had infinite potential within us to create the life we want to create. And I tell you this because I did it purposefully myself. You have, these teachings are so fabulous because in order to really understand them, you must use them. You must use them. That's not a bunch of nice, pretty words. It's something to live your life by. And soon we're going to have someone come in who just went through what looked like a horror. She's going to share. She said she wanted to share. I'll just say this. Her house burnt down on Thanksgiving. Oh, my God, my God. Well, she said, thank God for these teachings. Thank God, because it got me through it. And she told her husband, this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to get through this. And she proceeded to take, and it's only a week ago, right, 10 days ago, each day in gratitude. And she is in a fabulous, fantastic, God bumps all over, an incredible space right now, because she's living this, and we can all do this. So I invite you to begin this process today. Just begin it. Just start it. What is your vision of yourself for 2022? Just take that into your meditation. Take that into your thought process and just think what your vision of yourself in 2022. Not a New Year's resolution, because I don't believe in them. I break them immediately because I don't like rules. But a vision is something different. A vision is something different. We're going to go much deeper later on this month, because we are going to be doing a visioning in one of our services for the new year, so that we can really get in touch with the higher purpose. Because sometimes it just flows through us when we open ourselves up. When we get out of our heads and into our hearts and allow the flow of divine wisdom to take place, the most incredible awakenings happening and revelations happen within us. So a place where continuous growth and unfoldment is taking place every day of the new year. The way to proceed is right where you are. You can't start any other time. So you can't start in the future, you can't go in the past, so you might as well start now. The Bible tells us that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And it also tells us, without a vision, we will perish. Always have a vision for your life, and you start right where you are. Right where you are. Yogi Berra, who is a very wise soul, said if you don't know where you're going, you will wind up somewhere else. Brilliant, right? That's what we do in life. We just we think we're moving in, and we just stumble around. We don't have a clear vision. So our third and final holiday of our triune holiday season invites us to open up to a greater vision of who we are, and to know that we are moving in a direction that serves our very best good. And we'll spend, like I said, the last part of the month visioning together. So these three holidays are the holidays that make up that triune nature, because in Science of Mind, as I explained, triune nature of God. I am goes into law, becomes the effect. Life, God thought it, and so it was. Because it's instantaneous in divine mind, it's all divine mind, if you get that. But we have that same power within us to create when we believe that our thoughts indeed go into the law, the infinite substance of divine law and intelligence, and come back as experiences in our lives. It's transforming. We can transform our lives. By understanding this, it empowers us and it supports each and every one of us in manifesting new love and purpose each day of the new year, when we get to that, as a demonstration of life itself. So we start by healing the past, and then we join together as a family of humanity, sharing the gifts that are within us. And then we conclude with that greater vision for our lives. Let's make it a great vision. Let's make it even more than we can understand, and just allow the divine intelligence to flow through us and guide us, because it always does when we truly let go and trust. And so it is.